Hello, I'm Voltaire Tupas of Move PH. Welcome to Rappler Talk. More than 30 people are killed after a bus fell into a ravine in Nueva Ecija on Tuesday, April 18. Joining us this morning is Jason Salvador, former spokesperson of the Land Transportation Office. He is now the manager of a global road safety project of the Ateneo School of Government. We're going to discuss how roads can be safer. Let's jump off kick off our discussion with the incident in Nueva Ecija. The government is telling us that one of the reasons, of the causes of the road crash is overloading, among other factors. What do you think, and what are the main factors that led
Well,
to
for
this?
one, to begin with, it's a very unfortunate incident. Here we are again with another road crash incident that leads to loss of lives, not to a lot of people. Well, there were a lot of factors that they are looking into. One is possibly, as you mentioned, is overloading. Then there was a report about the blown tire, and then about faulty brakes. In road crashes, there are always two possible scenarios. One is that there could be mechanical problem, and then the other is driver error. So either one of the two or a combination of both. So a lot of things can be done here, but of course, people would tend to look immediately at the government, at the regulators on what can be done. But more than that, I think people should have a paradigm shift in their thinking that road safety is not just the government's concern. It is everybody's concern because lives are being lost here. In fact, globally, it is now considered a public health issue because more lives are lost every day. In fact, as they count, we lose almost 1.3 million lives due to road crashes. That's an average of 3,000
In the
plus lives
Philippines?
a day. No, that's globally. But I think the numbers are increasing, and we have to mitigate this in more ways than one. Not just regulatory, but in the paradigm shift that people should understand that they should take care of each other and that lives are lost and that this is a very important issue.
That's a good point. But let's zoom into Nueva Ecija, where the crash happened. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, the Central Luzon has the most number of deaths due to road crashes, 1,122 in particular in 2014 alone. Well, that is almost 13% of the total number. What do you think are the main problems? Can we be more specific? Ano ang mga dapat tinutugunan
Well,
ng
there are
pamahalaan?
several contributory factors to that. One is the road condition, the driver condition, and of course the vehicle condition. We have to study all of this. One is that we have to look at the roads. Are there enough safeguards on the road? Because in the Nueva Ecija incident, there were reports that they crashed because there were not enough barriers. That's why they fell into a ravine. And then there were also reports that the bus was kind of old and the tires were worn out. And also you have to look at the condition of the driver. So these are all the things that you have to look into. But more than that, you have to also look at the mindset of the passengers. There are reports that there are overloading. They should have realized that this puts them at a risk. We have to inform people that they should be able to learn about the red flags, for example, before they board a public utility vehicle. They themselves should know that they should look at the condition of the vehicle, if this is safe enough, the way the driver is handling the vehicle, and of course, they should look at if there are enough seats so that they can be properly secured through a seatbelt, something like that.
But even as we raise the awareness of commuters, of travelers, of course we have to look into the accountability of the government, precisely because they are managing, they are
Of course,
regulating this.
the regulatory arm of the government plays a big role in this, in making sure that every public utility vehicle is safe enough for the commuters, and every driver is fit enough to handle the rigors of driving, especially in the condition of the Philippines.
Ang dami na nating batas na sinusunod, I understand. Sabi nila isa sa mga advanced in terms ng road safety. Pero bakit ganito pa rin paulit-ulit? When you were working with the LTO, anong mga obstacles para sa
Well,
implementation?
we have, yeah, you are correct. We have enough laws. We have good laws, in fact, but implementation is always the challenge. For one, most of road-related statutes are relegated to the implementation to the Land Transportation Office, and we have to admit that the LTO is not that fully equipped to fully operationalize all these laws. One is because their manpower is lacking. They cannot implement all this with a short number of people. I mean, they have to upgrade for them to properly implement all these laws. For example, if you are to check all these vehicles, you have to be equipped not only with the proper people, but with the proper tools as well. That's why I believe one of the challenges there was in automation. Because if you automate everything, then you would eliminate the possibility of looking out or missing something out, especially in the issuance of a license or the permits to operate the vehicle.
Buti banggit mo yung licensing. Kanina sa aking taxi, kakausap ko yung driver. Sabi niya, isa sa mga problema ngayon sa licensing kasi yung pagbibigay ng mga lisensya, halimbawa mayroon siyang experience na yung iba, nabibili, at saka may problema sa process. In fact, in one of the stories written by one of our reporters, Camille Elemia, she wrote about corruption at LTO and LTFRB, particularly sa mga drivers na unfit, mga vehicles na hindi fit to be on the road. What do you say to this?
Well, sadly, over the years, they knew what the problem is, and every time throughout the year, they try to address it. They try to streamline the process so that people would not try to collude or hire fixers to do that. But I think it would be better if you would take out the discretionary factor among the employees. I mean, you automate so that you don't give a certain employee or certain group of people the authority to pass or fail anyone who wants to secure a license. Meaning, this is where the problem lies, in my opinion, because if you rely on a particular person to decide whether one fails or one is good enough to get a license, then that's the gray area is. Because there could be a lot of factors that can creep in. There could be pakikisama, pakikisuyo, or worse, there could be, for some other considerations. But if you eliminate this, if you automate this, then you can be rest assured that only all those who are qualified will get to be given a driver's license. Same thing with the inspection of vehicles. I mean, if they are just humans, I mean, just checking the roadworthiness, then this could lead to faulty checking. But if you automate this, then you minimize the possibility of that.
Nabanggit ni President Duterte sa kanyang SONA, in fact sa kanyang mga priorities, sabi niya, streamline yung mga processes, bawasan yung pagkahaba-haba at pagkarami-raming mga requirements. Sa current administration, sa efforts under LTFRB and LTO, nakikita mong mga
Yes,
changes?
I think they're in the right track. They have streamlined the processes. I think people are appreciating that. But again, if you automate things, it will be much faster and it will be more efficient and it will be more convenient, not only for the applicants but for the employees themselves. So this solves a lot of things. No, I think what the government should do is empower the regulatory agencies more. One, by giving them enough manpower, and two, by upgrading their system. No, so that it could cater better to the transacting public.
This could be addressed by the executive department.
I guess yes. If they could upgrade their IT facilities and they could automate their stuff, given the emergency powers, they could procure the necessary equipment. For example, in the implementation of the driving under the influence, they could buy more breathalyzers. Then I mean, this could mean a lot.
Is there a need to introduce new legislation or new policy or
I think,
harmonize?
Well, most of the legislations are there. If you look at globally, there were 6 factors that lead to road crashes. They've identified 6 factors. Among the 6 factors, we only have one that is, we don't have a law yet here, which is the child restraints. We have the helmet law, we have the speeding law, we have the anti-distracted driving, we have the seatbelt law, and everything's in place. We just need the child restraint law. But more than that, we just need to implement it properly. How do we implement it properly? We hire the right people, we hire more people, and then we get the right equipment.
But also the cost should be taken into consideration given the economic condition of the people, etc. Lalo na sa mga probinsya, makikita mo, isang motor, ang daming nakasaka, isang pamilya, walang helmet, child restraint pa.
Well, yeah, of course, that would be a factor. But we have to realize that we are trying to save lives here. And saving a life is more valuable than whatever cost there may be. And what we need to really, again, if I may go back, is to have a shift in the mindset of the people. They should realize that they should be obeying these laws, not because they are about to be apprehended or they are going to be fined, but because this will help save their lives, their passengers' lives, or other people's lives. For example, there's a helmet law, but you often see people riding motorcycles without helmets. They only wear their helmets when they know there are enforcers around because of fear of being apprehended. Why is it that way? They should be mindful that they should wear a helmet because they want to protect themselves and their passengers. And in the same thing in wearing a seatbelt.
Mayroon bang particular experience sa isang LGU, sa isang town or city na pwedeng ma-emulate ng iba pang mga areas?
Well, there are a lot of best practices involved. For example, in Quezon City, they try to promote the city as a safe city. So they try to regulate. In fact, in Commonwealth Avenue, that's a traffic discipline zone. It used to be tagged as a killer highway. So these are the things that they need to look into. A lot of cities, a lot of towns try to look at traffic and transportation as a major factor, not only in their growth, but also in their sustainability. So more and more local governments are looking into this because they realize that this is a major component in the lives of their people.
There's a pattern, if you can call it, in Central Luzon, nabanggit ko kanina, na ito yung pinakamataas in terms ng deaths due to road crashes. Ano ilang mga factors dun sa particular area na yun sa tingin mo?
Well, aside from the road conditions, you might notice that these are brought about by long commutes, meaning the drive is long. That would be around a minimum of 4 hours to 8 hours to a high of 12 hours. So this also contributes a lot to the condition of the driver. I mean, if you yourself are driving a certain number of hours, your ability tends to decrease, right? Your decision-making powers and then your reflexes. So I think they should also regulate that, the number of driving hours. If you're going for a long haul, then there should be enough stops so that the driver can rest, or there should be an alternate driver so that the driver should be always in good condition to make good decisions while on the road.
Moving forward, what lessons can we get from the recent?
Well, from the regulatory side and from the driver's side, they should realize that lives are lost here. So they should be more stricter in issuing permits, especially to drivers, giving out licenses and giving out permits to as road safety or roadworthiness to vehicles. But to the commuters themselves, they should be aware. They should not just rely on the driver or the operator to secure their safety while they're on the road. Meaning, they should be mindful of what's happening. For example, if you're on the bus and if you look at the driver and you see him overspeeding, then you should remind him. Or if you see him that he looks tired, then you should tell him that maybe you should take a rest. And not only that, before you board the vehicle, you should look at the condition. If it looks too old, it won't hurt if you look at the tires, right? If you look at if it's in your eyes, it's roadworthy enough. So you should be more proactive because let's face it, it's your own life and your family's life that you're trying to save here.
Good tips for commuters. How about for drivers?
Well, for drivers, you should not only be physically fit while you're driving, but you have to have the right mental attitude. Because driving in the Philippine setting is not that easy. The traffic is there, the road condition is hard. I mean, the weather changes from time to time. And then the mental attitude should be in the right place. Meaning that you should always remember not only about the safety of your passengers, but your own safety as well.
And finally, the local governments in particular.
But they should be more active, especially in the provinces wherein there are major roads that traverse their own cities. They should be able to pinpoint the dangerous areas and help mitigate this. How? By putting up enough road signs, and if there are bridges, they should repair it, and then the road conditions should be always fit so that the drivers and the commuters won't have a hard time.
The advocates for safer roads, what are you up to? What are the main activities that you are pursuing?
Well, the main objective is to save lives, and in saving lives, we're focusing on saving children's lives because children are more vulnerable when they're on the road. I mean, they cannot secure themselves, especially infants, toddlers, and children. That's why we're advocating for the use of child restraints because we're one of the few countries, but in Asia, we're of course there are a lot of countries that don't have child restraints laws yet, but we're advocating for the use of this because lives are very precious, especially the lives of our children. So we want to remind people that this is very important and that this could save lives, and hopefully they should be able to realize this.
Let's zoom out into the region, yung sa ASEAN naman. Are you aware of particular models, good practices in the region which we
Um,
can use?
There are not a lot of in terms of child restraints, but in other aspects of road safety, there are a lot of countries that practice a lot of good habits in road safety. I mean, they regulate a lot, they maintain their vehicles well, and then they make sure that drivers are well equipped. It's just that we have to look into their practices and possibly adapt them. Most Western countries and Eastern countries have this, but in Asia, there's still a lot of room for improvement.
We're talking about safer roads. Let's do speed talk. I'll mention a few words or phrases, and then you respond quickly with solutions.
All right.
Okay, let's
I'll do my
begin.
best.
Okay, you mentioned about child restraints. Let's start with it.
Well, legislation. We don't have legislation yet, so we should legislate so that people should follow the rules and make their child safe.
Old buses.
Phase out. You need to phase out. I mean, equipments really tend to grow old, and when they are old, no matter how you maintain this, it will eventually break down. So we have to phase out. We have to put a cap so that we can use more efficient and environment-friendly vehicles.
Driver's license.
We have to be more strict. I mean, driving is not an easy task. Somebody have compared having a license or driving a motor vehicle to owning a gun, meaning it could be helpful to a skilled individual, but it could be fatal to a non-skilled individual.
Speed limit.
Well, we have to impose that because speed kills.
Helmets.
Well, we should wear helmets not because we might get caught or we might get penalized, but because it will save our lives.
This will get you into trouble. LTFRB.
I think they're in the right track. They just need to monitor exactly the franchises already given out, and then they should monitor properly the ones that they are about to give out.
LTO, your former.
Well, they're in the right track. I mean, they're upgrading their system now. I think they're about to build out their IT facility, and this will greatly increase their productivity. And not only that, they will properly monitor the issuance of permits in terms of license and motor vehicles.
And finally, your parting shots. Hashtag Safer Roads PH.
Well, again, going back, people, let's remember that the road safety is not just the government's concern, it's not just the advocates' concern, it's our concerns. Let us help save lives, let us use all the necessary precautions, and then let's be mindful while we're on the road.
Thank you for joining us on that note. We've been talking to former LTO spokesperson Jason Salvador. Let's make safer roads a reality. I'm Voltaire Tupas. Thank you for joining us.